Welcome to this tutorial on how to use your blog at Seton Hill University. I've just opened a web browser to blogs.setonhill.edu, and you can see this is a sort of a clearinghouse page that has links to recent work. Here we see a bunch of students are blogging for a Mexican civilization class. Reeves Library has a blog. We also see here some work posted by individual bloggers. That's the one thing I want to emphasize, is that the work that you publish on your blog is public. People will be able to see it outside the class, so don't put anything on your blog that you don't want people to read. Okay, how do you log in and how do you post your blog? How do you post blog entries? We'll get to that after. First, we just take a look at, well, what is a blog? A blog is simply a web page, and this is a sample weblog for Elizabeth Seton, and you can see here comments appear when people leave comments on the site. This permalink is short for permanent link. Now, here, when we go to Elizabeth Seton's homepage, this is what the blog, the URL of the blog looks like. blogs.setonhill.edu/Elizabeth Seton with a capital E and a capital S. Those capital letters are important. Individual entries on the blog, which are sort of like pages in a book, have a different address. And let's go to the address of this default welcome message. You can see it's a little bit longer. It has date information and a specific file name. If you want people to read the work that you've published on your blog, you should give them this longer URL. Everything that you post on your blog is dated. And today is January 4th, 2008. It's easy to find information that was posted on this blog on this day. But as time passes and as you post new information, the new stuff will appear at the top of this page and the old stuff will scroll down the page, eventually going off the home page altogether and into the archives where you'll be able to find them through here. So people can still read that information once it's posted on your site, but if you want somebody to look at a particular thing that you wrote on your site, it's best to give them this permalink. So you would click here on the permalink and see what this URL is. I just click in there to select it, I right-click, copy, and now I've got that URL in my clipboard. I can paste it into an email message or whatever. Okay, let's now go back to the homepage for the blogs, and you see here the user and password information. Now we're going to use Elizabeth Seton, and Elizabeth has already gotten her username and password from me, the blog administrator, and she uses that to log in. Now you will probably first see a screen that looks like, wait for it, this. There's a welcome message. So just if you see something looks a little bit different, you can get rid of that welcome message by clicking that. Okay. Now the first thing that you need to do is come over here, click on your name, and if you want to personalize this name at all, you're welcome to, for instance, personalize it that way. Put your real email address there. Change your password from the default password to something else. All these steps I think are pretty obvious. You don't need to worry about this stuff down at the bottom. And then save your changes. And now let's see the first step here. Make sure that you have selected your blog. This user, Elizabeth Seton, is a member of a couple different blogs. This is a blog where anybody can post messages or announcements or rants or whatever. But Elizabeth is going to do her homework on this Elizabeth Seton blog. So we'll take her there. And there's one entry. That's a welcome message entry that I showed you a little bit earlier. Let's create another one. Just click here on Write Entry. And I have to put the microphone down so I can type with two hands, so bear with me. Okay, I've got the microphone back in hand again. All right, as you saw me typing there earlier, spend a little bit of time and come up with a meaningful title, because somebody is going to see these words as a link on a different page, and they'll decide whether or not to read the rest of your work based on what you've provided here. So spend a couple seconds and come up with an interesting title that explains what you want to write about. Okay, a blog entry is simply a web page. And what's very important about writing for the web is using links. If I find something interesting somewhere on the internet and I want to write about it, I get inspired by it, just select the words, click this button right here, and then type in the URL, click OK, and suddenly we now have a link. It's really as simple as that. If you are at all interested in HTML coding, you can see this is just a web page. This is basic HTML that adds a link. If you don't want to worry about that, you never have to look at it. Blogging is not about programming or design. It's really all about writing, and you can do that without seeing any of that nasty code if you're not interested. If you want, there are ways that you can change your appearance. You've got your bulleted lists and indenting text and formatting, and if you want to insert pictures or upload other files, I'll let you play with those buttons and figure it out on your own. There are also more options than you ever need down here. The most important one is simply this one down here. Once you've written something, click on Save. That's how you publish your entry so that other people can see it. If you want somebody to see what you've written, I showed you before how you can get the permalink. Don't give out this address. If you email me this address and say you want me to look at something, if I click on that link, I'll have to log in with your password in order to see the page that you see. Now that we've added this new entry, we can look at it a couple different ways. We can click here on View Published Entry, and it will pop up a new window. Let's see, where'd my window go? Okay, sorry about that. Had a little problem finding that window. These things happen sometimes. If something like that ever does happen and you get an error message, one of the best things to do is simply this. Click on Preview. It'll sort of force the system to check to make sure that it's saved your entry all right. Click here on Save This Entry. And we'll try this again. Okay, now it says my changes have been saved. Now let's try this again. View the published entry, pop it up in a new window, and here we go. So no harm done. Here's the new entry appearing in the site. Here's the link. Let's check that link so you can see, yes, it is actually a hyperlink that works. Let's now go back to the home page, and you can see this new entry that we created has appeared on top of the page. Remember, if you want somebody to look specifically at this new entry, you can either click here on the permalink or right here on this. The screen has changed, the URL has changed. That is the link that you want to share with somebody else.